So, you want to know more about Furina. Is it because you like blue hair characters, or is it because you like Archons? Whatever the reason is, welcome to Furina in a nutshell, where I break down the ins and outs of a character. Today, I'll be talking about Focalors, the Hydro Archon of Fontaine. We will be discussing her skills, her best artifacts, strongest weapons you can use, and finally, favorite teammates that she can pair up with. With all that said, let's begin with this video. Furina is a Hydro Sword user who specializes in dishing off-field Hydro damage. In her Osea alignment, her skill Salon Solitaire creates 3 little Hydro animals to deal AoE Hydro damage to your enemies. Now, these creatures will consume your character's HP in order to increase their damage. She can switch forms to her Pneuma alignment instead, where her skill will summon a creature to heal her teammates instead. To change forms, all you have to do is switch to Furina and perform a charge attack. One thing to note is when you switch to Furina for the first time, she will default be in her Osea alignment. And also one last thing to note is that when her creatures are on the field, she can actually walk on water, similar to another character in Genshin Impact. Furina's burst, Let the People Rejoice, deals AoE Hydro damage and causes her teammates to enter the universal reveille state. Now in this state, whenever a party member's HP increases or decreases, Furina will gain fanfare points, which will amount to dealing extra damage and increasing healing bonus of your party members. Now this will be the main selling point of Furina in case you want to roll for her. Her passive Unheard Confessions increases her skill damage or healing bonus based on Furina's max HP. So in order to hit the max stats, you will want at least 40,000 HP on Furina. Because of her unique kit and her unique stances mechanics, you can build her 2 different ways, either to maximize her off-field Hydro damage or build her purely for healing. Personally, I do recommend you guys build an off-field Hydro damage, but if you really need a healer, why not slam some healing artifacts for her? Now for the artifacts part, her best in slot is definitely the new Fontaine artifact set Golden Troop, which is very powerful for official. So similar to official, Furina excels in doing a lot of off-field damage, and she wishes to be off-field most of the time, granting your allies a lot of fanfare stacks. Another decent damage dealing set you can run is Nymph's Dream, which is relatively okay because it's very easy to achieve the 3 stacks of the passive, but it's not as easy to maintain it, so you could use this but not as good as the Golden Troop. For a more supportive option, Tenacity of Millilith can boost your teammates' damage, and Ocean Hued Clam can be used if you wish to build your Furina as the main healer, with Maiden's Beloved being a cheaper alternative. However, like I said, I still do recommend you guys try and build Furina as an off-field DPS, so I would still recommend getting her best in slot, the Golden Troop. However, if you're still working on her best in set or you're just starting out, you can mix and match a 2-piece HP set with a 2-piece Hydro damage set until you get her best in slot. Now for main stats, if you're going a main DPS Furina, you should go HP percent Sans with a Hydro damage goblet followed by crit on her crown, or if you're going healing, you can go healing bonus, but like I said, I don't really recommend that. On default, you will prefer to get crit rate goblet. However, because Furina naturally gains crit rate from her ascension, and depending on your weapon and choice, this stat will vary from crit rate to crit damage based on whichever you need in order to hit that 1:2 ratio. So do bear in mind that you can switch between crit rate and crit damage based on what you need or based on whichever substats you get better on whichever artifact. For substats, focus on getting crit first, followed by HP, energy regen, and maybe elemental mastery if you're ever planning to run her in a bloom team, which I don't see a reason why not because she's such a fantastic off-field Hydro applier. For weapons, her best in slot will obviously be her signature weapon, Splendor of the Tranquil Waters, which not only scales with crit damage but also provides tons of stats for her allies via the passive, which is somewhat very easy for Furina to achieve, and it also pairs well with her ultimate. For other 5-star options, Primordial Jade Cutter comes close to the Splendor of Tranquil Waters because the weapon gives a lot of HP and also gives crit rate, which makes your artifact building much easier. The Key of Kaj is also decent as it gives tons of HP, and let's say you want to go a bloom team with Furina proccing the bloom, you can also run this weapon on her. And finally, Mistsplitter Reforge also somewhat gives Furina a little bit of the elemental damage, and it also scales with crit damage, which is what Furina wants. For 4-star options, the Dockhand's Assistant is amazing as it gives HP, elemental mastery, and energy, which is really good for an off-field DPS. The Wolffang from the Battle Pass, the new weapon from the Battle Pass in fact, is also really decent. It increases your crit rate, your elemental skill damage, and even your burst damage. So this weapon is really good. If you're not going to roll for the 5-star Furina weapon, you can consider getting this in the Battle Pass instead. For a more free-to-play option, Festering Desire is decent as it gives Furina energy recharge and also increases our elemental skill crit rate, which is what Furina will mainly be used for. Favonia's Sword is also decent. Let's say you have a very high crit rate, you can use this to generate energy particles for your team. And for Furina herself, for a super duper free to play option, Harbinger of Dawn is a 3-star weapon that used to be used on Albedo, but this weapon is very good because as long as you can maintain 90% HP, which is not difficult because Furina will be off field most of the time, you will increase your crit damage and crit rate, which is very good. So there's many great options for Furina. Be sure to pick these weapons. Lastly, for teammates, honestly, you can run Furina in many teams because the versatility of a Hydro character is very good. To name some, you can run her in a freeze team where you just slap her with a bunch of cryo DPS and you will do very well because not only she provides that off-field Hydro application, she also provides healing, so you don't have to use a second healer. You can also run her in Bloom teams because she is Hydro and she pairs very well with Dendro characters. If you want, you can also run her in Hyper Bloom and Burgeon teams as well to spice things up. Obviously, don't forget your standard Vaporize teams, which will really need an off-field Hydro applier for your Pyro characters. And lastly, if you do not know who to pair her with, just run her now with the new Archon team, which is gonna be a Hyper Bloom Archon team, and you should be completely fine. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I apologize for not uploading recently because my throat really hurts, but if you like this kind of content, please do leave a like. It shows me I should be doing more of these videos. Comment down below whether you'll be rolling for Furina or whether you'll be saving for future banners. And finally, do subscribe. We'll be doing more content like this in the future. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.